Good morning, dear students. Today we shall begin with the fifth part of the chapter Sectors of Indian Economy. So, till now we have studied about the sectors on the basis of nature of activity, and there were three sectors in it, that is, primary, secondary, and tertiary. So, today we shall study about the sectors on the basis of working condition and also on the basis of ownership. So the first one is on the basis of working condition, and there are two types of sectors in it, that is organized sector and unorganized sector. So let us study about these two in detail. Organized sector covers such enterprises as are registered by the government and which follow rules and regulations framed by the government under various acts like Minimum Wages Act, Shops and Establishment Act, Industrial Dispute Act, etc. So, organized sector includes all those industries which are, first of all, registered by the government, and secondly, which follow all the rules and regulations laid down by the government in the form of various acts. Organized sector provides good wages, good working condition, job security to its employees. So the employees who are engaged in organized sector, they benefit a lot. First of all, they get good amount of money for their work. Secondly, their working condition is not a very bad one. It is not very hostile, and as a result they are able to perform well in good working environment. And third is job security. People working under organized sector, they have job security. It is expected that in whichever job they are involved, they are going to be there in that same job in the near future. That is job security. So the other one is organized sector. Unorganized sector covers such enterprises which do not follow rules and regulations framed by the government. So, this particular sector covers all those enterprises and industries which do not follow the rules and regulations laid down by the government. And unorganized sectors exploit workers by giving less salary, not providing job security, long working hours, etc. So, unorganized sector is that sector where the employees suffer a lot. They do not have enough amount of money, they are not given enough money, they do not have job security, and the working hour is very long as compared to the one who perform in organized sector. So there are these two examples that I have taken from your NCERT book. With these examples, you will be able to understand better, or rather, you will be able to differentiate better between organized and unorganized sector. So the first one is Kanta. Kanta works in an office. She attends her office from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. She gets her salary regularly at the end of every month. In addition to the salary, she also gets provident fund as per the rules laid down by the government. She also gets medical and other allowances. Kanta does not go to office on Sundays. This is a paid holiday. When she joined work, she was given an appointment letter stating all the terms and conditions of work. So, the example of Kanta shows that she's working under organized sector. She has got fixed working hour from 9:30 to 5:30. She gets the salary regularly. She has even got other benefits such as the benefit of provident fund and the benefit of a paid holiday. She does not go to office on Sundays because it is a paid holiday. and all the terms and conditions of her work has been laid down in the appointment letter. On the other hand, there is another individual named Kamal. So, Kamal is Kanta's neighbor. He is a daily wage laborer in a nearby grocery shop. He goes to the shop at 7:30 in the morning and works till 8 p.m. in the evening. He gets no other allowances apart from his wages. He is not paid for the days he does not work. He has therefore no leave or paid holidays, nor was he given any formal letter saying that he has been employed in the shop. He can be asked to leave any time by his employer. So Kamal works under unorganized sector. He works as a laborer in a shop, and the timing for the work is very much, it is from 7:30 a.m. in the morning till 8 p.m. in the evening, which is quite a lot. It is more than 12 hours. He gets no other facilities. He is only paid for the days he will work. If he does not go to work, he will not be paid for that day. And there is no specific terms and conditions that he has been mentioned. And whenever the employer wishes to, he or she can remove Kamal from the job. So there are these differences that have been laid down so that you are able to clearly differentiate between organized and unorganized sector. Under organized sector, high salaries are there, job security is there, less working hours, provision for paid holidays and related benefits, good working conditions, provision for overtime allowance. On the other hand, in unorganized sector, salaries are low, there is no job security, working hours are quite long, workers are not provided benefits under different acts as they are not applicable to unorganized sector. The working condition is very poor and no provision for overtime allowances are there. Now there is this question that arises: how to protect workers in the unorganized sector? In unorganized sectors, the workers are exploited. Like just now we saw that there is no job security. Whenever the employer wants, he or she can terminate the employee. The working hours are quite long. There is no paid holidays. So as a result, we can say that workers are exploited. In some cases, they even face social discrimination. So government should take steps to protect the exploited workers. So there have been instances where these employees of unorganized sector, they face discrimination, and as a result it is the duty of the government to protect these workers. Government should frame some rules and regulations for the unorganized sector. Although unorganized sector constitutes of all those enterprises who do not follow the rules and regulations laid down by the government, even then government should make sure to lay down certain minimum rules and regulations for these unorganized sectors. Since the 1990s, it is also common to see a large number of workers losing their jobs in the organized sectors. These workers are forced to take up jobs in the unorganized sector with low earnings. Hence, besides the need for more work, there is also a need for protection and support of the workers in the unorganized sector. So it has been observed that since 1990s there are many people who are losing job in organized sector, and due to lack of job in organized sector they are shifting to unorganized sectors. Over there they are being exploited, they are being asked to work for more number of hours, they are given low wages, there is no provision of more payment for the overtime work that an individual does. As a result, the government has to ensure that these workers are not exploited. In rural area, the unorganized sector mostly comprises of landless agricultural laborers, small and marginal farmers, artisans, etc. Nearly 80% of rural households in India are in small and marginal farmer category. These farmers need to be supported through adequate facility for timely delivery of seeds, agricultural inputs, credit, storage facilities and market outlet. So majority of the population of rural area come under unorganized sector. They can belong to different professions, they can be an artisan, they can even be a landless agricultural laborer. And if the government ensures that these small and marginal farmers and landless laborers are given certain facilities, like the facility of credit or the facility of various agricultural inputs, then they will be able to increase their agricultural output, and as a result they will not be exploited, they will have enough money at their own disposal. In urban area, unorganized sector comprises mainly of workers in the small scale industry, casual workers in construction, trade and transport, etc. are those who work as street vendors, head load workers, garment makers, rag pickers, etc. Small scale industry also needs government support for procuring raw material and marketing of output. Protection and support to the unorganized sector workers is thus necessary for both economic and social development. So in urban area there are various individuals who come under unorganized sector. It can be a casual laborer or a vendor, or the rag pickers, and the small scale industries where many unorganized employees are employed. That small scale industry has to be supported by the government so that they are able to get their raw material easily, they are able to market their outputs, and as a result they are able to get more profit, so that the employees of these small scale industries benefit. So if the employees of unorganized sectors are supported, their economic and social condition both is going to be better. So sectors on the basis of ownership, this is the last basis of sectors. Indian economy is a mixed economy. In a mixed economy, both public and private sector coexist. So Indian economy is a mixed economy, and over here both public and private sector exist, which are the two types on the basis of ownership. So it is public sector and private sector. In public sector, such enterprises are included as are owned, managed and controlled by the government. Public sector includes government owned enterprises like railway, post office, fire department, etc. Government has full control over these departments. The objective of these enterprises is to promote social welfare along with earning profit. So, the first kind of sector on the basis of ownership is public sector, and it includes all those industries that are owned, controlled, and managed by the government. And few examples of public sector is railway, post office, fire department, the various companies that generate electricity, all those are there. And in this public sector, government exercises full control, and the objective of the government is to provide social welfare along with earning some amount of profit, so that that profit amount can be reinvested and generate more employment, more number of people are benefited. On the other hand, there is another sector named private sector. So in private sector, all such enterprises are included as are owned by private individuals like Reliance Industries, Tata Group of Industries, Bajaj Auto, etc. The objective of private sector is to earn profit. After the economic policy of 1991, private sector is growing very rapidly in the Indian economy. So private sector includes all those companies that are owned by private individuals, such as Tata Motors, such as Apple, such as Bajaj. So all these are there, and the objective of these private companies is to earn profit, more and more amount of profit. And after the economic policy of 1991, which you will be studying in the chapter globalization, after this policy came, the private sector started growing rapidly. So there is this distinction between public and private sector. Through these differences, you will be able to understand what is public and what is private sector properly. So over here, public sector includes the enterprises that are owned and controlled by the government, and production is undertaken both for profit motive as well as social welfare. Prices are determined largely by the government. And private sector includes the companies owned by individual or a group of individual. The production is undertaken for profit only. Prices are determined by market force like demand and supply. If the demand is high and supply is less, people will be willing to pay more for a particular commodity, and as a result, the price of that commodity might rise. So there is this small topic that I have included, role of public investment. There are few areas where public investment is very vital, and I have discussed a few over here. So the first point is, in India, the size of illiterate population is the largest in the world. Private schools are generally located in urban areas and charge more fees. As a result, government intervention is required for setting up schools, particularly in rural areas, so that the children of poor families also get an opportunity for education. Government is also playing a significant role in providing higher and professional education by setting up various universities, colleges, and professional institutions. So one of the most prominent area where public investment is required is education, because a huge number of people are illiterate in our country, and private schools, although they are present, but the fees charged by them is very much, and secondly, they are mainly located in urban areas. As a result, it is the duty of the government to ensure that the children living in rural area and the children who are not able to pay heavy school fees, they are being educated. And for that, the government opens various schools in both rural and urban areas. The government also opens various colleges so that higher education can be provided to the people. Government has also taken significant steps to provide good health facilities in the country. Government has set up many hospitals, dispensaries, community health centers and primary health center. Vaccination against various diseases like malaria, tuberculosis, smallpox, etc. is also provided in government hospitals free of cost. So the other area is that of healthcare. So many people are not able to go to private hospitals. As a result, government opens up hospitals in rural, suburban and urban areas. And under this hospitals, over there various kinds of healthcare facilities are given free of cost. Even vaccination is done so that people are able to fight with various dangerous diseases. So that is it. The chapter is over, and you are supposed to answer these assignment questions in your notebook. The first question is: do you agree that agriculture in India takes place in the unorganized sector? Give 3 points. The second question is: workers are exploited in unorganized sector in India. Support the statement with suitable example. The third question is: describe any 5 activities where the government must spend for the welfare of people working in unorganized sector. So that is it. Your second chapter is over. Thank you.